We're on Ayin Aleph Amid Beis by the Mishnah. Baruch actually nigma dinai. If the person, the accused, and the guilty party ran away before the Gemara din. This is talking about a ben Seiru Meir. And in the interim, before they recaptured him, he aged out of the age at which one can become a ben Seiru Meir, potter. The Mishnah says he's potter. Seems doesn't seem very fair that we let the guy off the hook, but let's keep in mind no one thought it was fair that he was getting killed in the first place. Yeah. Ve'im mishenigma dinai baruch, but if he ran after the Gemara din, after it was already signed his fate, before they were able to actually execute him, then he's chayiv. As the Gemara is going to say, he's a walking dead man walking. There's actually I seem to remember there was like a movie like 40 years ago, which I promise you I didn't see, but I remember it was very controversial at the time about someone on death row who was called Dead Man Walking. No, it doesn't. You don't remember?
Well, the terminology is very
Amar of Chanina, Ben Noach shebirachas Hashem. If you have a Ben Noach, a guy who was mevarach Hashem, which means to be makal. Again, it's a euphemism. V'ach kach nisgayer, and then he became a ger before he could be sentenced. Potter. He's going to be potter. He's not going. Well, we'll see what potter means, but he's not going to get his original sentence, which was supposed to be a ben noach. All of but the Rabbanan hold all bnei noach get sayif. That's the overall rule, the general rule. And now he no longer gets. He does it now. He became a ger. He's not going to get the punishment. Hayel v'nishtana dinay nishtanim v'nishtanim misasay. Since there are two things that changed for him. First of all, the standards of proof and civil procedure are very different for the Dinei B'nei Noach and those of a Yid. Like we saw before, a guy doesn't need, he only needs 1/8, he doesn't need Hasra. And secondly, there's a different din. A Yid who's Mevarach Hashem gets Skila, while a Ben Noach gets Saif. Name a Messiah, I'll bring you a raya to this assertion of Rav Chanina, that a Ben Noach, since his situation changed when he became a ger, you're not going to apply the din that was applicable when before he became a ger. From our Mishnah, our Mishnah says if he ran before the Gemara din, and he also his status changed. In our Mishnah, instead of being a status change because it was a status change because he became too old to apply the din of a ben Seiru Meir potter. The Mishnah said he's going to be potter. My time, is it not because we say since there was a change in the status and a change in what the rules are going to be by a ben Seiru Meir, that's why we no longer apply the din to him, and that's a raya to Rav Chanina. Zok Gemara, no, loy. Shani hacha, you can't compare the two things. You can't say that because good morning. Yeah. So the Gemara says you can't compare the case of Rav Chanina to the case of the Mishnah. The case of Rav Chanina we're on Ayin Aleph Amid Beis. We said, if someone was, Rav Chanina said a din, that if someone was a ben Noach, and he was Mevarach Hashem, which is Chayiv Misa, and then he became a ger, Rav Chanina says he's going to be potter, since his situation changed. And we wanted to say that's the same thing as our Mishnah. Bring a raya from our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said, if someone was a ben Seiru Meir, and he ran away, and before they could be goymer the din, before they could pronounce the din, he became too old for the din of ben Seiru Meir. It was hikav hazak, and we said he's potter. So Gemara says, no, you can't bring a raya from our Mishnah. The Mishnah is different. Shani hachadi avid hashta la rakatalahu. Because if you were to do the same thing now, he wouldn't be chayiv misa at all. That means in the case of the Mishnah, we're saying we could understand even if you say in the Mishnah that he's not going to be chayiv. That's because in his current status as a hikaf azokim, there's no punishment for him at all. Masha Enke in Rav Chanina's case, it just changed. His procedures changed, and how are you gonna? He's not going to need an aid. He's not going to need two aidim. But the part about that his punishment changed. It changed from one misa to the other, but he's still chayiv misa. Toshma. I'll bring you a different raya from our Mishnah. The Mishnah says if after the Gemar Din he ran away, that means he already got the Gemar Din. Like we said, he's a dead man walking. And then at that point, that's when it was hikaf azak and atachten. Then he became too old for the din of enserumar to apply. Chayiv. So l'chayru we see that again, even though his status changed, he's still chayiv. L'chayru, this is a rik neged Rev Chanina. Sakmar nigma dini karmat. You're going to compare when it's nigma din gavra katelu. Once it's nigma din, he's already as if he's dead. There's no more. It's too late for his status to change once you already have a Gemar Din. Toshma. Benayach shehikes chaberei.
So that means that if Hikaf Hazokin happened after the Gemar Din, he's going to be
even if because it doesn't make a difference. He already got his psak. It's sort of analogous to what we often will say, that if there's a Gemar Din, we'll say when there's a shtar, it's as if the thing already transferred possession. There's a little bit of a Vita analogy. But the point is, once there's a Gemar Din, it's already done. Like we said, he's a dead man walking. So his status, his change in status is irrelevant. He's already we just have to carry out the judgment. But prior to the judgment, we say you can't come to a conclusion that he's chayiv when he's no longer the person who would be mechuyev for such a thing.
Not a raya. The whole attempt to bring the raya from there, it's not a raya to begin with.
That's the answer is that it wasn't. Which it's not. It makes sense. I mean that really. That's what you think the distinction is in the Mishnah. It's almost hard to understand why you would ask this question in the first place. The Mishnah says if it's before the Gemar Din, then you're going to be potter. After the Gemar Din, you're going to be chayev. The Gemara says, from after the Gemar Din, that we don't care before and after the Gemar Din. So it's a little hard to understand what the Gemara's Havamin was. Toshma, we bring a raya from a brisa. Ben Noyach shehikes chaveroi. A Ben Noyach who hit his friend, ubo al eshes chaveroi, and he was mezana. So again, this is a Ben Noyach, and he killed. First, shehikes chaveroi means he killed another Ben Noyach. Ubo al eshes chaveroi, and he was mezana with another a woman who was married to Ben Noyach, another non-Jewish woman, V'niskaya. And after he did this, he was niskaya, potter. Then he's going to be potter, because now as a yid, if he did either of those things, if a yid is ba on an eshes ish of a non-Jew, or even if he kills a non-Jew, we don't kill him for that. Doesn't mean that you're allowed to kill a non-Jew or to be ba on an eshes ish. Both those things are also. But it's not. There's no misa bidei adam on them. The Torah does not give jurisdiction to a Jewish court, to a Jewish bezdin, to punish a yid for those things. Therefore, since his status has changed dramatically in that regard, he's not going to be chayiv. Also came be Yisrael, but if it was a Ben Noyach who was ba on a Yisrael, or he killed a Yisrael, the Niskayer, and then he was Niskayer Chayev. He's Chayev because now this person, this even after he becomes a Yid, what he did as a guy, he would have been Chayev on as a Yid, right? The first case where he was ba, where he killed another guy, or he was ba on an eshes of a guy, So now as a Yid, his status has changed. It's no longer, you no longer can, we wouldn't impose those dinim as a Yid. So therefore, his status has changed. But when a guy is born a Yid or kills a Yid, so now when he becomes a Yid, his status hasn't changed in that regard. As a guy, he was Chayiv Misa. And now as a Yid, he's also Chayiv Misa. Why should he be Chayiv? Name a Hayil Ishni Ishni. But Lamaisa, the Gemara says, his status has changed in some regards. When he was a Ben Nayach, you only needed one aid. You could kill him without Hasra. All those dinim have changed. So why don't you say that his status, since his status has changed, now that he was, so even the guy who killed a Yid or was born an Eishes Ish of a Yid, and then he's Megayah, should be off the hook because he's now he has a different status that before he would have been chayiv with an eid echad, and now he's chayiv only with two eidim. Zaktumara, I mean, it sounds like a unworkable situation, right? Every guy just be Megayer after he kills a Yid and get off the hook. But obviously it's not so simple, right? You can't just be Megayer on the spot. You have to be a legitimate ger. You can't just say, oh, I'm being Megayer. He'll be like a Geri Arayas. He's doing it for ulterior motive. We're not going to accept his Geras. It's got to be a guy like he was already in the Geras process, and then somehow he lost his temper and shot someone and said, oh, now's a good time to go through with the Geras. But as far as the end of the Gemara, now, Dinei Umusasa Binen. This person, even though his high Dinei Ishtini, Misasa La Ishtini. Although it's true that he's still going to be Mechayiv Misa, but only his din changed. So, since it wasn't, both things didn't change, he's going to remain Chayiv. It means he was going to be Mechayiv Misa at Ben Noach, and now as a Yisrael, he's still Mechayiv Misa for killing a Yid. So even though his Dina Yishtani, even though the procedures will change, his Misa, his punishment of Misa stays the same. Listen, you lumped everything together. Bishlama Reit Seyach, in the case of Reit Seyach, Mikara Sayef, Ahashtash Sayef. You're saying his Misa didn't change, and that's why he's going to be Chayiv in the case of a Ben Noach who killed a Yid and then he was Megayer, so we say he's going to be Chayiv because he has the same Misa, because as a guy, everything he does, all the Shev Mitzvot B'nerech is Sayef, and someone who kills a Yid, the Misa is Beherek, he gets Sayef as well. Ella Eishes Ish, but the case of an Eishes Ish, a Ben Noach who was born an Eishes Ish Yisrael, Mikara Sayef, like we said, all the Shev Mitzvot B'nerech are B'Sayef, B'Hash Techanek, but the din of an Eishes Ish is B'Chanek. So you have a change in not just in the procedures, but you also have a change that he's going to get a different Misa. So we're talking about a case of a Ben Noach who was born a Naira HaMirasa. The Aidi v'Aidi Beskila. Because like we learned before, although generally the rule is that a Ben Noach who's born a Bas Yisrael or any of the Shev Mitzvahs Ben Noach, he's Mechayiv Sayef, but Naira HaMirasa is an exception. Just like a Yid who's born a Naira HaMirasa, the din is Beskila, the same thing will apply on a Ben Noach. So therefore, that's what we're talking about. In fact, Namara, how can you say it's talking about who is born in Naira HaMirasa? For also came be Israel, he said, we said if he did the same thing, the first case of the Brisa was if a Ben Noach was born on another Ben Noach, another non-Jew, and the second case of the Brisa was where he was born on a Yisra, on a woman, a married Jewish woman. So it's mashma that the case of the where he was born a Bas Yisrael was similar to the case where he was born a Bas Noach. But there's no such thing as a Naira Merasa of a Bas Noach. There's no such thing as Kedushin for a Bas Noach. In order to be a Naira Merasa, she has to be just Mekudesha, and not Nesua. But such a thing doesn't exist in the context of a non-Jew. So once we say also can't be Israel, it's not possible to be talking about a Naira Merasa. So we have to say a different teretz. Kalaba Chamura Meshach Shaycha. Although it's true that as a Ben Noach, he was chayiv. So we're talking about an isha, So he was, as a Ben Nayach, he was chayiv saif. And now that he became a yid, he's mechuyev chanek. So we say, listen, when you're mechuyev saif, saif is hereg. So the order of the Rabbanon of the chumrah of the mises is skilus reifa hereg chanek. So saif is the same thing as hereg. So saif is more chamor than chanek. So as a ben noyach, he was mechuyev on saif. He was already mechuyev to a higher level. Being mechuyev, as we said before, I don't know if you remember, that if you're not able to impose the misa that the person is supposed to get, if he's supposed to get skila, which is the worst misa, but he's running away, and the only way you could get him is by throwing a sword and cutting off his head. So you cut off his head. So he's really all of the four misas that are less chamer than the one that was imposed on him, he's really mechuyev in. So too over here, even though as a guy who's mechuyev in saif, as a yid now, he's mechuyev in chanek, but saif is included in chanek. I'm sorry, chanek is included in saif. So what was imposed on him as a guy is still applicable, and therefore you could give him chanek. So this is good according to Rabbanan who say saif is more chamer. According to Rabbanan, now he's upgraded. When he went from being when he was a ben nayach, he only had saif. Now he's going up to chanek. So you can't say you could apply still. Now you can't apply a higher level of misa. So he disagrees in general. He says no, that bnei nayach don't get saif. That's not their general rule. The general rule is they get chanek. So therefore, there's no difference. He was chanek before. Now he's chanek now. So but now that he's saying we're going to go according to Tana Menashe, that says all the bnei nayach get chanek. So we solved the problem with the Eishes Ish, that it's going to stay the same. According to by the Ritzeach, he started off as chanek and now it's saif. So again, that's not going to be a problem. We're going according to the Mount Amar, like we said, that chanek is more chamer than saif. So now he's just downgrading. So it's not a problem when he was convicted as a guy and was mechuyev in chanek, and now he became a yid, and now it becomes downgraded to saif. That's not a problem. It's not considered a change. Le misayeli sarcha ba'archakach bagra. If someone was ba a naira hamerasa, and then she became a baigeres, she aged out of the din of a naira hamerasa, she became a baigeres. Tidam b'chanek. She gets the din of chanek, which is the general din of a Eishes Ish. She doesn't get the special din of a naira merasa. The skila my time alay. Why doesn't she get skila? That was what she did at the time he was born. She was they should get skila because she was a naira merasa. La mishum dahel the ishtani ishni. Isn't it because she changed? Because she in hachan the ishtani gamri. And certainly over here means over there all that happened. She went from being a naira to a begeres, which is a less consequential change. But a case of Rav Chanina, of someone who was ben nayach and who was megayer, that's katan sheneiladami. That's a much more significant change than just going from becoming an naira to begeres. Listen, latana tidim beskila. He says, you have to change. That was incorrect. The conclusion over there was not that he was tidam mechanik, but rather was tidam beskila. Einachanami, she's not going to change over there. According to Rav Chanina, you're going to say that the girsa that we have is incorrect. Zak Damash, Gemara, the Mishnah. Ben Sayr Meir Nidin al Shem Saifai. This is what we've alluded to before. Ben Sayr Meir gets punished because of what's going to happen to him in the end. Yomaz Zakev al Yomaz Chayev. Better he should die now before he happens what's inevitably going to happen, that he steals from his parents, he's going to run out of money, he's going to have to go and steal from other people, he's going to end up killing someone when he's going to be standing as a highwayman. It's a good thing for the world, like Rashi says. The misa of a Rasha is a hanoch for them. It saves them from doing more averis, which they're going to suffer more when they get to Olam Haba. And obviously it's good for the world that there are less averis. Tzadikim ra lahem v'ra lo'olam. Tzadikim, the more they're on this world, the more good they can do. They can. Rashi says they can learn Torah specifically. It's not just mitzvahs. They get the opportunity to learn Torah, and it's ra lo'olam that they can't teach others. Yayin v'shina l'rishayim hanot lehen. Wine and sleeping are hanot. They're helpful to a rasha because it's a way to the more time Rishayim spend this on olam, again, less opportunity to do bad things. Well, tzadikim and conversely, tzadikim, it's going to be the opposite. Pizor l'Rishayim hanolahem olam, being distributed, being scattered around is good for Rishayim because when people are together, when there's an aguda, when there's people get together, they can accomplish more. Rashi says, they're separate. They don't get the opportunity. When people are together, there's an exponential increase in what they can accomplish. So when Rishayim must spread apart, they can accomplish less rishus, which is good for them. They're not going to suffer, and they're not going to do bad things. I'm sorry, I skipped. It's hanolahem v'hanolahem when Rishayim are separated, and tzadikim it's ralahem v'ra'alolam. Kindness, and the opposite is also true. Rishayim ralahem v'ra'alolam, and they get together, it's bad. Tzadikim hanolahem v'hanolalam. Sheket l'Rishayim ralahem v'ra'alolam.
Tzadikim is scattered, they influence more people, no?
Yeah, but they're less capable of doing their it's outweighed. It's outweighed. Yeah. People are more effective when they're together, right? People that scattered, if there's no central organization, there's no doesn't get done. Listen, they have a very decentralized. The Chabad figured out a decentralized situation, but it's not necessarily the.
You gotta do it this happening way, where the money over there,
the algorithm will be.
The kids are all married off. The only thing I'm worried, as long as I'm not worried about the Jews. I'm not worried about the Jews. I'm just worried about something that's cause my wife to lose her job. That's all I care about. Shekat l'Rishayim ra lahem v'ra'alolam. When it's quiet, when it's peaceful, again, Rishayim can do more risha, and it's bad for the world. Tzadikim hanolahem v'hanolalam, and the other way around for tzadikim. Something about Tanya. Basically, between Nesha Achozet Tatima Basa B'Shasa Chatzilul Yain Hatalki Amra Torah Yatzil Lebesin Lisakal. What does it mean? I mean, what the Mishnah said, it's because Al Shem Seifei, but because he ate this a little bit of meat and a little bit of wine, it's kedai to kill him. Haligia Torah Seif Daita Shel Ben Seiru Umayra. The Torah understands what's going to happen. Shesoif Megama Nichsei Aviv. What did he start? He started with stealing from his father, and he's going to use up all that his father has. Mavakash Limudai. And he's gonna he's gonna want to get more of the meat and the wine, and he's not going to be able to get. He's going to try to steal from others. He's going to go stand by the highway. He's going to hold people up. He's going to end up, I don't know if it means that he's going to end up killing someone and getting killed, and therefore he's going to get executed, or if he's going to get killed in the process of being a highwayman. The better he should die now rather than end up like that. And this is just what our Mishnah said. Shina v'Yayin l'Rishayim hanolahem v'hanola olam, but tzadikim ralahem v'rala olam. Shekel l'Rishayim ralahem v'rala olam, but tzadikim hanolahem v'hanola olam. Pizul l'Rishayim hanolahem v'hanola olam, but tzadikim ralahem v'rala olam. Just restating what we said in the Mishnah, that better for Russia to die early than to go along and do a bunch of virus. Now we're getting to a very fascinating, a classic Gemara, you know, a Ksais, Rebbe Chanan type of Gemara, about Hababa Machteres. This is talking about, first of all, the din of self-defense, that a person who's under attack can defend himself. And it's going to be talking about the din of Kamle B'derabine, that if you're chayiv for a more stringent din, for example, someone who's chayiv misa, doesn't have to pay money at the same time. So we're going to be talking about Hababa Machteres. Let's see the Mishnah. Hababa Machteres Nidan al Shem Seifei. Someone who comes in a tunnel, he's going to steal. Reuven is coming to steal from Shimon. Reuven is he's mechuyev misa. Shimon can not mechuyev misa, but Shimon can kill him because obviously Reuven is going to steal. He knows if he's going to see the householder, the landlord, the guy who lives there. Shimon's going to see him. He's going to shoot him. He's going to want to protect his property.
This is
So Reuven,
Texas, not in New York.
it's not yet. It's Texas, right? It's what is it called? Stand your ground state. Yeah. So if Reuven's nevertheless going into his house, he's coming with the intent that he's going to have to kill the guy if he's going to come across him. The same way the owner, the homeowner is going to kill him, he's coming prepared to kill the homeowner. So therefore, the homeowner is entitled to kill him first. So Habab Machteres Nidan al Shem Seifei, since it's going to end up coming to killing, so you can kill him right now. Hayabab Machteres, if he was going in the Machteres, B'shiveres Achavis, and this Reuven, Shimon was entitled to kill, because we assume Reuven would try to kill him, and Reuven, as he was walking along, he broke a valuable vase of Shimon's. If Reuven has damim, meaning if Reuven still is someone who's allowed to live, he's going to be chayiv im ein le damim pater. But if his life is forfeit, then he's pater. Now, we said that his life is forfeit. So what does it mean if he's going to be allowed to live? So as we're going to see in the Gemara, there are some people that when they come to steal, let's say it's not Reuven who's coming to steal, it's Yaakov who's coming to steal from Shimon. So in that case, Yaakov is the father of Shimon. Shimon, when he sees Yaakov skulking in the tunnel coming to steal from him, he knows that Yaakov, no matter what, is not going to kill his son. So Shimon has no right to kill Yaakov. He knows Yaakov is trying to steal, but he's not going to kill him. So that's a person who is yesh lo damim. Yaakov is still a person who has his right to life. He still is not. He hasn't forfeited his life by going to steal, because he knows that Shimon knows that Yaakov is not going to kill him because he's his father. So therefore, Shimon does not have the right to kill Yaakov. So therefore, if Yaakov broke a barrel, there's no din that his life is already forfeit. You don't say kim le b'derab, and therefore he's going to have to pay for the barrel. But if it's a typical case of where he forfeits his life, im ein lo damim, then Yaakov doesn't have to pay for the barrel. Then we say kim le b'derab, since you lost your life.
How is it kim le b'derab? At the end, he walked away, and he's gonna get killed.
But we say we
Because his life was on the line.
Because his life is forfeit. It's as if he already got killed.
You put your life on the line.
It's as if you were executed already.
This is not kim le b'derab. This is a new chiddush.
It's a form of kim le b'derab. Let's see the Rashi. Yesh lo damim chayiv. Well, that's the first part. First, we're going to attack the first part, right? So it's kedai to see this yesh lo damim chayiv. So Rashi einu roy lahar kagoin aval haben. The time to come on the eina ben rishai laharagas aviv habalav machteres mishum the rachmi aval haben. You're not allowed to kill the father who's coming to steal, the father who's a thief, because the father's merachim on the son. He's not coming to kill the homeowner. And if the son comes to save his money, the father has no intention to kill him. Then he's going to be mechuyev to pay. Ein lo damim going shar kol ha'adam shenitim rishus lebal habayis lahargoi. The Baal habayis can kill him. Pater milisham the chiyuv misa b'chiyuv tashlumim ba'in ke'echad. As soon as he goes and we're going to have to see how it's going to coincide. But the idea is that the father is mechuyev misa. It's not just that the son. We're looking at it self-defense. If it comes to that, then the son could kill him. We're saying it's as if there's a chiv misa on the father when he goes into the machteres to steal. He's immediately gets a judgment of misa. Even though it didn't end up happening. Someone who is mechuyev misa, if he did it b'shaygig, where example of how it could be shaygig where he didn't get hasra, so he's really mechuyev misa, but you can't impose that on him. He still doesn't have to be mum and misa she'ema misa avapisha ein hargan. It doesn't have to be that you impose the chi of misa. As long as it's the decree of misa, that paths you from any mum, and that would be mechuyev at the same time. Okay, so that's Rashi's addressing what's bothering you. I know it's not necessarily satisfying,
Yes.
because it's a little different, right?
Yes.
Because someone who killed someone, you say he killed it, but technically we can't impose the misa. So
Last case, right? You do an arrow and just on the way. It's something on the way.
okay, yeah,
That's
that's what you say killing it out.
Kill it down.
You say did this
Arrow never killed.
okay, but we're saying, what if he did it b'shay, like a case where that's wrong? So there's no chiyuv.
The same case. I should go on arrow.
No,
and on the way,
point is what's bothering me.
it damaged someone else's jacket, and then it ended up missing the target.
Yeah,
We don't see him in that case.
I'm not sure. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. You say missing means it was going to hit him, but whatever. But the point is like this: you're looking at it that you can't get two punishments, and it's not really what the din is. It is you can't get two decrees. You can't have two. You can't be over on two things at the same time. It's more on the action rather than than on the consequence and what the punishment is. So that's what Rashi's trying to say. Even if you did it b'shaygig, so you're not going to get misa. You're still going to say kimle b'ramine because of the action that you did. So we're saying his chi of misa here doesn't come from killing his son. His chi of misa comes because of the potential that he could kill his son. So that as soon as he goes into the machteres, that's when he's chayiv on it.
This really has nothing to do with them going to Bezdin. In other words, if you take this thief to Bezdin,
No, it's before Bezdin. Yeah, you wouldn't get misa in Bezdin. No. If he walks away, doesn't mean that anyone who goes and steals from someone, who burglarizes someone, and he gets away with it, that you take him out and you kill him. It's just like someone who's chasing after someone to kill him, and he trips and he doesn't kill him. You don't say, oh, because attempted murder, you get killed. We don't kill for it. There's no capital punishment for attempted murder.
My God, I'm sure it's maybe more else.
This is a classic Lamdish Gemara.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it wouldn't be considered Lamdish, but in the old days when I was a kid. Amarava, my time with the machteres. Why is it that someone who's Bob machteres is neither benafshay? A person can't hold himself back if someone. This is in the olden days. Someone's coming onto my land. I'm going to take out my shotgun and dispense justice. So therefore, this thief is saying, if the homeowner sees me, he's not going to let me get away with it. Therefore, when I'm coming on, I've got my trusty knife, and I'm going to kill him before he kills me. The Torah says, if someone's coming to kill you, you should go kill him first. So therefore, this person is nidam benafshay. It's a frontier justice, but he has a sentence of death on it. Amarav. Habab machteres v'notol kelim b'yotza potter. Rav says an additional chiddush of what we said in the Mishnah. We said if somebody broke a kli while he was nidam benafshay because he was a thief, he's potter from having to pay. Rav says it's not even if he was if he broke something, even if he took a kli, he took the guy's safe, or he took his Fabergé egg that's worth $10 million, and he steps outside of the homeowner's rishus. He leaves. And then the homeowner says, "Give me back my Fabergé egg." He says, "Nope, I don't have to give it to you. since I was nidim benafshay, it's come le b'derabinei. I have no chiyuv to pay it back. My timer, the damim kananeu. He was kinda this egg. As soon as he picked it up, the thief was kinda it. And normally there's a chiyuv hashava when you steal something, but over here there's no chiyuv hashava because I was mechuyev nafshay. So there's I'm part of from the chiyuv hashava. Amar Rava. Rava says, Mustafa Milsu the Rav b'shashiva. The less new. Rava says that doesn't make any sense. I can understand what Rav said in the case where the thing was broken, where it's no longer extant. It's not around anymore. I will not lie. But Rav certainly couldn't have said this, where the guy is holding the Fabergé egg. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the guy you stole it from. It's not yours. So Kim Amar Rav made a shvua. I feel notal. Rav says, no, I stand on my on what I said. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. That if a thief took something and he was mechuyev misa in the sense that the homeowner was allowed to kill him, he has no chiyuv to return the object. The yesh leidam, and I'll bring you a raya. Yesh leidam v'nensu chayiv. In the opposite case, where it's yesh leidam, let's say a father who's going to steal, and the father went into the son's house, and he picked up the Fabergé egg, and then he dropped it, and he smashed it, and it was nanas. He tripped and it fell. The thief has to pay for that egg that he broke. But if you'll say like Rav says, if you'll say like Rava, that when you pick up something, you're not kainit, the thief is not kainit, why should the thief be mechuyev for an einus that happened? It's not his. It was an einus that happened to something that belonged to the homeowner. Elamai, from the fact that the thief is going to be chayiv for something that happened, over here we're talking about a case where there's no kimle b'derabimne. We're saying that the thief is going to be chayiv for an einus. It must be that he's considered to be the owner, that it belongs to him. And so if it belongs to him, in the case where there's kimle b'derabimne, the thief will be parted from paying it back, even if the thing is still around. Alma b'rshusa kami. So we see, just like we see Lagabe Yesh Leidamim, in the case where there's no Chiv Misa and there's an Einus, the thief is going to be Chai for an Einus that happens to the homeowner's possessions. You see that the possession still remains in the Rishus of the thief. Over here, the fact that Rishus will mean that he doesn't have to return it because he's parted from paying it back because of then I'll come later the chiyuv misa on him. Rava would say, no, I don't agree with Uriah. The Torah only put it in his rishus legabe einsin. That means that there's a din that although it's true that by yesh leidamim, where he's not mechuyev misa, if he does an einus, he's going to be chayiv. It's not because that it generally that when he picked it up, it belongs to him with a kinyan as a ganef. But the Torah put it into his rishus legabe einsin. Now he has a shibud of einsin. As far as who it belongs to, it still belongs to the original owner. Just like a shayl. A shayl, when he borrows something, it doesn't become his. He borrowed it, doesn't belong to him now, and he's parted from paying it back. Let's say if he was mechuyev misa the time that he borrowed it, but he's still mechuyev in einsin. So similarly, a ganef who causes damage by einus is going to be chayiv as a shayl. Tnan Bob Machteres v'Shibras Achavis. On our Mishnah said if he was going to Machteres and he broke the Chavis yesh leidamim chayiv, ein leidamim pater. If he's yesh leidamim, meaning he's not mechuyev misa, then he's chayiv to pay it back. But ein leidamim pater. Time of the shiber. So our Mishnah gave the example of shiber where it broke. The chi ein leidamim pater. That's the only case where he's pater. Hanatal. The Shmaya says that if he took it loy, then he'd have to give it back. So this is shver on Rav. Rav said that if he takes it, he's also going to be pater. So why did our Mishnah say the case of Sheba? It should have said the bigger chiddush that if he even if he took it, and he's mechuyev misa, he doesn't have to return it. So who adin dafilu natal nami? Gemara says no. Our Mishnah would hold. Rav would say that our Mishnah holds even if he took it, and he's mechuyev misa. If he's in a case, if it's not his father, if it's a regular case, he's going to be part of from giving it back. And the reason why it said where he broke the chav on the other side of the case where it is his father, he doesn't. There's no misa. Even though he broke it, he still is mechuyev to pay back. Zamar pshita. What do you have to? You're telling me a chiddush? If someone who broke it, he's chayiv. Pshita mazaku. He's a mazik. Of course, a mazik is chayiv. So you're going to tell me it's coming to tell you that even though he broke it and it was a einus, he had no idea. He's not a mazik. Someone who does something unintentionally is not a mazik. So if it doesn't belong to him, so he should. What are you telling me a chiddush? Shita. So he's telling me it's a chiddush because it's not pashut because it's talking about that he's an einus and it's telling you that even in that case he's going to be patur. My kamashmon adam muad lailam. We still have the same problem. In adam muad lailam, we already know the din that a mazik is chayiv on an einus. Even Adam is always chayiv for his einsin. So if you mazik someone by einus, if you mazik someone by mistake, you're still chayiv. So, yeah. Tznina, Adam Mud Lo'olam, Ben B'Shoy, Ben Mezeh, Ben Einus, Ben B'Rossen. Kasha. One says, Ein Chanami, it's a good kasha. Ultimately, according to Rav, why did we say the case of Sheber? There's no real chiddush in Sheber. According to Rav, we should have said the case of Natal. Okay, we're going to have to ask the further kashas on Rav and Rava on Motzei Shabbos. Shkoyach.